Okay, there we go. Waiting for it to record. Yeah, it's been a while. And I'm not going to say much more than life happened. I'm going to try to leave it at that, but I'm going to try to post reviews a bit more frequent, or videos more frequently. Not necessarily reviews, but kind of vlogs. And God, I realized how small the shirt is on me. I'm not trying to point that out. But I kind of want to talk about something that... First of all, I'm going to preface this by saying I've had surprisingly a lot of support recently from the YouTube community, and I wanted to say thank you. I know I don't have opinions that a lot of people agree with, and honestly, I can't blame you, because the last video, or seriously long video review I did of a game was Beyond Two Souls, and I just thrashed it like a... Well, I thrashed it like a thing you thrash a lot, like hay or something, I don't know. And suffice it to say, I still hate that game. I did actually replay The Last of Us, and I stand by what I said. I see why people would like it, but I honestly think even upon completing the game, it just really wasn't worth it for me. I don't see the general appeal of it. I didn't find it that frightening. I didn't find any of the characters that likable. I even did Left Behind, and I just felt like that was kind of written on in just to add to Ellie's character. For one, I'll agree with that, but two, certain things, not just the lesbian kiss thing, which that's a whole different matter altogether. I'll get into that maybe in a different video, because that's going to combine with other things I want to talk about later on. But just the whole thing of her character, it could have been developed in a different game, and it felt, to me, very rushed. As someone who does writing, to me, Left Behind felt like, oh, it's one and done. And I know a lot of people don't agree with me on that, and that's your opinion. I mean, I'm not going to hold it against you. Everyone has an opinion. But part of the reason I haven't done a video like this is it's been a long time since I found a game that just utterly blew my mind at how overrated it was. I could say Destiny, but I enjoyed Destiny up until I got to level 20 and everything changed. That was my problem with Destiny, is once you get to level 20, instead of leveling up like normal, you artificially level up by leveling up your armor. That's the dumbest mechanic I've ever seen in an RPG like that. Mainly because it shifts that gear. Now, a lot of people are going to say, well, it's not so different from, like, changing your weapons to be better. Yes, but your skills also change upon what your level is. In Destiny, once you get to that a bit or apart, it's still first-person shooter at its core. It's a good first-person shooter, but it feels like the level up thing does not need to be there. At least for me, it didn't. It's not like Borderlands where you level up and you do gain abilities, and you're still killing, but those abilities come in handy. With Destiny, it was like, I was using a Warlock, and I found out in order to become a different type of Warlock, I think it was not Sunstroke, but Sunstorm, or I can't remember, it's been a while. Instead of Vortex, I had to re-level up that one. I'm like, fuck that. I'm sorry, I'm going to stick with my Vortex Warlock. That game, or Destiny, didn't piss me off nearly as much as Beyond Two Souls. Shadow of Mordor, I liked up until the last few missions. Seriously, and I'm going to get back to this. They have a female character in Shadow of Mordor that they tell you several times, she never surrenders, she always fights, she doesn't give up. Immediately, second to last mission, she gets captured and you have to save her. Way to damsel her, you dickheads! And I don't normally jump on stuff like that, But again, as a writer, when you say someone's a powerful female character, can fight, has a personality, and you immediately go, oh, she's captured, you have to save her, by the way, she's helpless. I think they came up with, oh, she broke her leg, and she broke her leg is going to be more acceptable than what I'm going to get into later on. Shadow of Mordor didn't even piss me off as much as this game with that. I'm trying to think of what other game I played. Far Cry 4 didn't piss me off. I loved Far Cry 4. And while I haven't beaten it, Dragon Age Inquisition has actually impressed me. That is the only game in the Dragon Age series I like. I still haven't beaten that yet. I may get into why I haven't later, but back to my main topic. This game pissed me off so much that it became a chore to play it. And the only reason I kept playing it was because I wanted to make this video or these videos, depending on how long this runs. And I keep on seeing people saying, oh, it's a great game. It's not the best, but it's great. It's fun. It's fun. And then when they try to justify it, it's, well, yeah, there's that problem, but the game is fun. Even people at work, it's fun, isn't it? And I'm like, no, really isn't. What do you mean it's not fun? It's fun. Okay, you have this character doing this, that character doing that, and none of it makes sense except for what your character is doing, which doesn't make sense in the long run, and the bad guy is incredibly feeble. Now you're probably wondering, get on with it, Ben, right? Dying fucking light. Now, I mentioned I'm an aspiring writer. I'm actually in the process of scripting a comic. It may be a webcomic, it may be a self-published comic. I'm kind of analyzing both sides, and I have a few things I don't want to get too detailed about that I'm going to talk, or yet, at least, because it's tentative. But I have things going on that may change it either way. And part of what I was going to college for was writing. So I had like 3 things going: art, classics, and writing. And strangely enough, it was my writing and my classics work that was getting high praised. But back on, I'm not trying to toot my own horn here. I know a bit about story writing. And the one thing people cannot defend about Dying Light is the story is abysmal. But it's not abysmal for the reasons they're thinking. Let me get to the positives, because there are actually some positives. On some level, it is fun. In a ridiculous way. It does become a chore, especially towards the end. Like, the first half of the game took me, I'd say, 10 hours. Now, this is completing all of the side quests that aren't fetch quests with no objective markers. And I'll get into why I didn't do those now, in fact. I didn't do those because that was a stupid idea for one big reason. One mission, I had to find a gun for a guy, but I can't find the gun until I'm a certain level. That's not a problem. But I find the gun, give it to him, and then I find out after I give it to him, oh, by the way, he beats his wife and kid. Why'd I get this guy a fucking gun? And not every mission's like that. In fact, he gets his just desserts. I made sure of it with a machete. And it ends up he's not going to kill his kid like I initially thought. Thank God. But I got 7 of those missions where I had to go out and find things with no objective. Coffee, bandages, medicine, with no indication of where to go on a lot of them. Like a few of them, like the witch hunt. Oh, go and find mushrooms by the lake at night. Which, doing anything in the fucking night is impossible. More early on than later. Get into that. So I didn't do those missions because I wanted to focus on the stuff that you did have objectives for, not because they're easier, but because it felt less of a nuisance to me. After trying to collect stuff and going, I don't even know where to begin looking. I'll get into an item in specific later. I swear to God, this one pissed me off more than any other item. But, the first half of the game took me about 10 hours to get through. The second half took me 23. That's not story missions, that's the side missions included, because they throw every side mission they can at you in the last half of the game. There's no balance in that. But the gameplay, I said I was going to get into the positives, I do apologize. The gameplay can be fun. Killing zombies can be fun. The parkour can be fun when it wants to work. The shooting, not so fun. The other positive, it does look good too. The game does look good in a lot of places. Humans, not so much to me. The Chrome engine and I don't get along. And while I'll admit this Chrome engine is better than Chrome, whatever the fuck they are using, Call of Juarez, a Cartel, and Dead Island, it's still got problems. Everyone talks like this. See, isn't this a natural way to look at you? I had one little girl, I'm walking around the room, she's... Stop staring at me, you creepy little moppet! And, But the backgrounds are gorgeous. I mean, they really are. I cannot complain in the graphics department, and I'm not necessarily a graphics snob. I mean, I'll point out great graphics when I see them. And I'll point out terrible graphics when I see them. But it's more the gameplay that's important. I mean, Deadly Premonition's one of my favorite games of all time. That game had terrible graphics, terrible gameplay, and a great story. And then the remake for PS3 actually did have better gameplay, but it's still one of my favorite games, even though it's not stellar. Another favorite game, Silent Hill 1. It's not a graphic powerhouse, it was on the PS1, but you hold it to today's standards, nowhere near it. And that's part of what makes the game work, is it wasn't a graphics powerhouse. Now we get to the bad. And I mentioned the parkour. Early on in the game, there's a tutorial. Duh. I mean, come on. It's a game made in 2014. There's going to be a tutorial. Everyone knows that at this point, I'm assuming. Unless it's a Call of Duty game, then you don't really fucking need one. Hell, Call of Duty Advanced Warfare didn't piss me off nearly as much as Dying Light, and that pissed me off, but... not talking about that. I get my first... I'm trying to jump, I'm pressing X, like, every other fucking game. Well, I see a gap. I press X and I fall. I get to respawn at the gap. I'm running, and it says, press R1 to jump. I jump. No problem. Like, okay, R1's kind of a weird button to press for it. I'm not used to that. I mean... next jump, you have to hold R1 so you could grab onto the ledge. I'm like, okay. Here's the problem. They tell me this in the middle of a fucking jump. So I'm already in the air. It gives me a text prompt. Press R or hold R1 to grab onto the ledge. I'm holding R1. I press X. Nothing. Press X. Nothing. I let go of R1. Press X. Finally loads and kills me because I let go of R1. I'm hoping they kind of fix that in the patch, because I know there was a patch since the first day it came out. But that aggravated me to no end, and that was mild compared to what comes next. Because sometimes holding R1 works, other times you have to tap R1 again to even get him to process he's supposed to grab on the ledge. And you have to guess which one the game wants you to do. I know not a lot of people have had this problem. I don't know if it's because I'm playing on PS4. There were console exclusive problems. I do know that. I have a friend who played it on Xbox One, and he actually had problems attacking. I don't know what happened with that, but I do know there are some console-specific problems. So I don't know if that was with the PS4. I don't know if that was just with my copy. I don't know, but I've never had that problem with any game on the PS4 in my life. Well, in its life, I should say. I've never had that problem with a lot, or I don't think I've had that problem with any game, even Mirror's Edge, and I hated that. Well, I didn't hate it, I disliked it. Oh, probably the cat. Or the door closing up, who knows. But anyway. Now, as bad as the parkour was, that didn't prepare me for the biggest pet peeve, and I already said the story, no one can really defend the story as being great. It's not a great story. Its main story isn't bad. It just has a lot of plot holes, and I don't want to point out every single one, but I'm going to point out some of the ones that irked me. And I'll probably do that in the next video. But the biggest one is the villain's plan is stupid as hell. I was talking about this to some friends, or with some friends today during dinner. And if they saw I had a rough day at work, they're like, hey, let's go get some burritos. And I'm like, no, why the hell not? But Rise's plan is to take all the Antizin drops, hold them hostage so he has control of the city, but he wants chaos to reign. By controlling his guys and having people come to him to beg for Antizin so he can say, hey, do this for me. Hey, go bother these people, say you're going to break their legs if they don't pay me. Which money is no good in this city. I don't... That's a game thing, don't worry. Whatever. But here's where his plan doesn't work. He's holding all the Antizin hostage. The tower, the good guys, needs Antizin. They already ran out and had a zombie outbreak so that had to close yet another floor. What's going to happen when they do run out of Antizin and they all become zombies? Rise is going to be overrun. Is his plan... I know his plan's supposed to be chaos, but does his plan include risking getting bitten by a zombie? I understand the whole, oh, he's trying to, you know, get the GRE to pull him out, because that's not... It's kind of implied that's what it is. And then you don't find out till the end. I'm going to put a spoiler warning in the video, don't worry. But it doesn't make a whole lot of sense in the long run. And I'll get into why in the next video, because I am running out of time. YouTube put a time limit on videos again. So if this runs along, it's not going to be beyond 2 souls long, so don't worry. I'll be right back.